All right, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Ronald Gordon with Texas in Color. And today we want to welcome Judge Jones to Texas in Color. We're excited to have you join the show today. So, Judge Jones, tell us, the audience, a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so first of all, thank you for having me here. My name is Judge DaSean Jones. I am the presiding judge of the 180th Criminal District Court. I'm also, as of March, the official Democratic nominee for Texas Supreme Court Place 2. I serve as a reserve officer. I've been in the military for 23 years. I still serve as a reservist. Married, have two children, young kids, still in school. And then beyond that, just whatever you want to ask me, I'm free to tell you. Don't want to overdo it, but that's who I am in a nutshell. Thank you for having me here.
Well, thank you for your service, sir. We appreciate that. Um,
Mhm.
why did you join the Army and specifically, why did you join the military and specifically
Mhm.
the Army?
So my dad was in the military, so that's all I saw growing up as a child. I think it really impacted me when I was on about, let's see, third, fourth grade. He was, I think, at Fort Hood at the time, and he took me to do like they had like simulators for the tanks or whatever. And to me, it was like a video game. So we we went and did like the little tank simulator, and that kind of sealed the deal right there. I thought, the Army seemed like a cool place, right? And so we went and did that. And so once I finished college, well, actually, I went to college on ROTC scholarship, grew up on military bases. So from my birth up until graduating high school, always on military bases. Because of that, we, lived around the world a little bit, got to see a lot of different cultures. I enjoyed it, and it's just something that kind of was ingrained in me early. So I went ahead and got an ROTC scholarship, and then went off to Tuskegee University.
Oh, okay, okay. So, why do you decide to become a lawyer?
So that's part of the whole thing too. With respect to becoming a lawyer, when I came back from Germany, that was the first time I was struck, I would say, by the idea of inequality and racism, like just seeing it firsthand. When we were in Germany, obviously we read, history books, things of that nature. I came back around middle school. When I say came back, my dad got reassigned to Fort Polk, which is now known as Fort Johnson, there in Louisiana. And while we were there, we moved off base. My dad, like most fathers, trying to establish a better school system, better life, what have you. We moved a little bit off base where it was not as diverse. That's the first time when I was met with being called, a racial epithet. Colorism, exploded. And then this is during the time of David Duke running for office in Louisiana. He was like a grand dragon or something of that nature that was running for governor, and so the ideology permeated the community. Particularly, it even got into the middle schools to where the students had like the junior KKK, things of that nature. And I just saw that's when I really just started to see, I guess, the rose colored lenses kind of got pulled from off my eyes. Like, I could actually start to see things for what they really were, and just started learning more and seeing more about discrimination among African Americans and just people of color in general in that area. And then started going into the library more and reading about past history and things that have happened. And that's kind of like the breach, I guess you could say, in my childhood to what who I am now, is just understand how the world actually works, at least within the United States with discrimination.
Wow, first I heard of that junior KKK. That's the first I heard of that.
Yeah,
Wow.
so they just that's what they call themselves. Basically just went around terrorizing the black kids at school. And there weren't many of us. It was like maybe two or three of us at the school. I was at one school, my brother's at the other school. He was getting it over there, I was getting over there. It just turned into a lot of turmoil. And then, that's what made me want to, that kind of made me focus on the whole ideology, the idea of, discrimination. And then one of the chief, I guess, career paths that I saw that impacted discrimination historically was always lawyers, whether it be like Thurgood Marshall and all these other lawyers. And you have your civil rights activists, things of that nature, but you also have a lot of lawyers that were just fighting to make changes within the law, to make sure the law is being properly executed, and to make sure people have representation when they are harmed by, issues of discrimination and being treated a certain sort of way. So,
Which brings up to the next question. You said law.
yeah. Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
what type of law do you specialize in?
Presently, so I'm a judge right now, so I don't specialize in any law per se. I just preside over cases. Over a criminal court at the moment. It's a district court, so it's the highest trial court in the state would be a district court. We handle things such as possessions, like possession of controlled substance, aggravated assault, aggravated robbery, murder, capital murder, things of that nature. So it's a criminal focus or what have you. But I'm running for the Texas Supreme Court, which is a civil focus. Prior to taking this bench, I did a lot of civil law. I just decided to run for a criminal bench because I felt like that's where the need was at the time.
Okay. So, which goes to the next question. Did you always know that you wanted to become a judge?
Yeah. So with that question, my mother, who's she passed away Valentine's Day 2008, but she used to watch a show. It's a funny show, Night Court. I think it was called Night Court,
Yes.
and it was like a humorous show. I think there was a guy named Bull. He's like the bailiff and stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
it was she used to watch that. And obviously, I'm a kid, so I'm walking around the house and I'm seeing her watch it, whatever. And I thought it was funny humor, so that's what initially attracted me to the idea of you know the law and court. And so, what they say, you gotta be careful what you let your kids see, because that small thing made me think, hey, that might be a cool job or something to do. And that's when it first got planted. But as I, got older, I saw it wasn't, humor and comedy. There's a lot more seriousness to it. So that's kind of where it sparked. And then I think once I reached college age, I was like, I want an opportunity to go to law school after college. I had an opportunity between after I graduated from college, but I wound up going to the military first, and then came back around. Once my mother passed away, she passed away, and then like within that year, I went ahead and started law school. So.
Okay. Which leads to, why did you run for office?
Mhm.
And was there something specifically that motivated you to run?
Yeah, so I I'd always want to run for office. I guess the trigger point for me would have been I had an interaction with a judge that I thought the judge was just very unfair. To me, she was unfair. It's just the way she treated folks, I thought was just unbecoming. And then, I got to put this in context. So before I ever became a lawyer, I was an Army officer. And then anyone knows anything about the military, depending on how you came in the military, it's all about, honor and how you treat folks, an officer and a gentleman, right? And even, I was a captain leading troops overseas or whatnot. And even my subordinates, everyone, they get respect. In fact, I show them the utmost respect. We eat after them. They eat first. We take care of soldiers. We take care of people, right? That's the life and the style of I guess humanity and harmony that I learned from the military with respect to socialization with folks. So I always took it kind of, and then at a young age, I was quote a very we had a lot of power, because we have these these tools of war that we use to go to other places, and we can inflict a lot of power on a lot of people. And we give somebody that type of power, you have to make sure they have a good head on their shoulders. Otherwise, they'll abuse the power, right? And so when I come into this world and start practicing law, and I see someone that has power, but they're haughty, I find discriminatory. They're talking down on people like they're the best thing that was ever made. I'm offended by it, because I'm thinking in my mind, I know I was in a position of much more power than what you have right now, and I didn't treat people like this. And so I saw this judge treat two younger folks, younger African American males, what I thought was pretty badly in court, just yelling at them and telling them, they had on. So what it was, they had on like some white t-shirts, right? And when I was growing up, I lived in Louisiana for a minute, and at the time there was this thing, jabots and a white tee, right? That was this, if you had on jabots and a white tee, you're good. That's all you needed. And a lot of it comes from the white tee. It's not that expensive. So if you come from a family that doesn't have the socioeconomics to go and buy you the polo, get a white tee, iron it up, put the creases in it, you're good to go, right?
Yeah.
And they came in the courtroom, they kind of dressed like that. And when I saw it, I was, before she even said anything, I kind of like, okay, that style's come back, or maybe just never went anywhere. I just noticed, and I was just kind of impressed by it, to be honest, because it reminded me of days of old, so to speak. And then as I'm about to walk out the court, and these weren't my clients, she just starts going, "Why you guys got on underwear? You got on underwear? This," and they're confused because, culturally, and then based on their community, they're fine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so at that point, I'm starting to see there are a lot of people who've been given a lot of power to govern folks from communities that they're not from, right? You're not from this community, yet you govern these folks. You know nothing about them. And so in their minds, they're not trying to be offensive. They feel like they're appropriately dressed. Now, could they have learned that they could have done dressed differently? Sure, whatever. But that wasn't their intention. I understood it wasn't their intention, and a lot of the other African Americans in the room understood that, right? But you had this lady judge who was on the bench who was scolding these folks, saying they had on underwear, and I just didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. And what I took from that is we need to have people in power that understand the people that they're actually governing. Otherwise, there's no true governance because there's no communication between the two. It's like trying to control someone that you never talk to. You don't visit their communities. You don't go to their churches. You don't eat their food. But yet I want to control you and teach you how you need to be. I just think that's totally inappropriate. So that's kind of what made me not kind of, but that's what I walked out of there like I'm running. I called my friend like, "Hey man, I need to run for office. This is crazy. Like this is I was very offended and I wanted to make sure that, people had an opportunity to see someone that looked like them and might understand them more. Not to say you won't get anything, you still might go to jail, but we're gonna some of these bridges we're gonna cross a lot sooner, so I can at least kind of understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, you said a key word in there, culture. And I think that's part of the problem because they don't understand our culture. Like you said, they want to tell us what to do, but they don't understand. Like you said, the white T-shirt. We know what that means. We we
Mm-hmm.
we grew up like that, and
Right,
then have
right.
somebody come in to tell you all of a sudden they want to change the script and you got to be like this. And that's why the
Mhm.
young
Yeah.
black men look like, what is she talking about? You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I
they
mean, and you could tell they were confused,
yeah.
and it's just sad that we have people that we give a lot of power to that have no concern about the folks that they govern or the folks that they can use that power on. And it's just we're at a time I think in this country where that needs to come to a stop. We've got a lot of great folks that are running, a lot of candidates running all across the nation that better embody and embrace their communities than the ones who are sitting there now. And
Yeah.
we've gotten to a point to where too many politicians are doing things to uplift themselves or enrich themselves. Like suddenly, all their stocks are starting to, all they got all the right stocks, and they're being chauffeured around, what have you.
Hmm.
A lot of people gotten out of touch, and they need to remember that they represent the people, and the people need to remember that they have the power in the vote. So if you don't like somebody, you vote them out, or you vote. If you do like somebody, you support them and vote them in. But I think there's a misconception of where the power truly lies and where the power should be. And some folks have let these titles, these robes, or
Hmm.
what have you, get to their head, and that's just never been my style. Like I've always like even when I was in the military, active duty, I didn't like people to try to kiss up to me because they knew I had a little rank.
Yeah.
I never liked that. Like treat me as you would anybody else without hearing my title.
Yeah. Okay. You currently preside over the 180 Criminal District
180.
Court.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Tell us about that court, and is it in Harris County? I mean.
Yeah, yeah, it's in Harris County, so it's just a district criminal court handling cases. We handle possession cases, ag rob cases, a variety of felony cases, and also just some post conviction actions that we have to look at. But that's that in a nutshell. Just handling felony cases here in Texas, in Harris County.
Okay. Um, has it the election concerned you? Concerning been resolved. I understand that judges at Tammy Pierce
Mhm.
challenge your election results, and what is the status on that?
So what happened was I won in 2018. I ran for office for my second term. She actually sued me for running the second term because there was a claim that there was a signature left off an application, which is kind of like one of them things where it was just she was attempting to just win by default by just getting me out of there so she could just take the position. I'm not sure if she needed a job or whatever was going on, but it was kind of corny. I would have never done it. Anywho, we wound up fighting that lawsuit, and then once I actually won the uh, the second general election against her, I won by it was a much closer margin than what I beat the former judge with. But because of that, they're trying to say they kind of took on what I suspect to be the ideology that's been at a national level of, stolen elections and the whole January 6th ideology. And what's interesting about it is, there were issues that were claimed about, paper being missing, some machines having issues, things of that nature, which has absolutely nothing to do with me. Like I don't fix the machines, I don't deliver the paper. So what I think is odd about that law is like instead of suing those folks that would be responsible for those things, they sue the candidate. And to be honest, it's my interpretation that they just, and when I say they, folks on the right side are using this law to kind of pillage our campaign funds because we've had to in our personal funds because we have to pay for the stuff. And again, it's almost like you getting in a car accident. Well, your neighbor getting in a car accident, and then they coming over your house and giving you the citation. And you're saying, "Well, it wasn't my car accident." Yeah, but you were around. So she sued
Yeah.
me, and the way it's written, the way the law is written, makes absolutely no sense because usually you'd sue the person that actually engaged in the conduct or whatever alleged conduct there was, right? Uh, we went to we went to trial. The judge who was appointed, it wasn't a sitting judge, it was an appointed judge. I think he's out of I want to say he's out of San Antonio. He might be retired. Sitting Republican judge. He found in her favor. Three people testified. She testified, her lawyer testified as to fees, and then this person who I believe was not an expert also testified. My lawyer asked that person a few questions about his expertise, none of which he can answer in the affirmative, and yet the judge still qualified him as an expert, which I've never seen. And so, being a judge, being a lawyer, and just being trained, even in the military as a judge, it's just odd that someone was able to get that far being called an expert when they failed for lawyers out there that might be listening to Dobbert, Fry, and Kelly test, like totally failed it. And so they went off a bunch of even the evidence they put in, they didn't, sure up the evidence. Say, hey, we got it from this court reporter. So you have to have a certain quality of evidence, and I don't believe that was appropriate. And even if it did get in, I think the weight was a little off that the judge gave. He gave anything that they needed, in my opinion, the judge pretty much gave it to him. So you
Wow.
have an interested party suing you, you have the interested attorney, and then you have some what I no, if it's disrespect taking whatever, a fake expert coming forward, and those are three people that we used to undo an election that was sought by the people. The people made the decision. The people elected me. A group of people don't seem to like it for some reason, and that's fine. However, it's funny how we get these groups of folks talk about patriotism and
Mhm.
spirit of America and all this stuff and freedoms, but then they want to undo elections. They want to undo elections, and so the judge ruled against us, and we just filed the appeal was just filed, I think, Friday. So we're waiting to see how that works out. I think my team's done a good job with the appeal. I think my trial lawyer did a good job. He brought out all the issues, but it got to a point where we could just predict it's going, overruled, kept getting overruled, not really listening to my, I mean, anyone can go read the transcript.
Yeah.
Not really listening to my lawyer's arguments. And it was an uphill battle. And the biggest shame in that I think is as a Army combat veteran, serving 2 tours of duty in Iraq, earning a Bronze Star Medal, Combat Action Badge, earning another Bronze Star Medal, and leaving active duty with a Meritorious Service Medal. To do all that and to believe you do it for the rights of your people and following the Constitution, the reason we went over there and understanding other men over the centuries have laid down their lives for what they believe in here in this country. To see that happen in a court system, I find it to be just disgusting. Now people will come and try to say something different, but it was utterly disgusting. So, but
Yeah.
we're appealing it. We'll see what
So,
happens.
okay. So now you're running for the Texas Supreme Court.
Yes.
Why did you decide to run for the Supreme Court?
Well, similar to the judge with the white t-shirts, when they sued me and start messing with me like that, one of my friends, he's in the army too. He's like, you know what, you gotta push back. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I. So that it was really y'all keep bothering me. Okay, well, let me do it. You ever play dominoes?
Yeah.
Okay, so I brought what is it, big ten to the table? Whatever.
Hmm.
I a big six. I'm sorry, big six. I had to bring big six to the table. It was just they kept messing with me. It was my way of pushing back. Initially, you know, initially it was just really leave me alone. And then since y'all have such a problem with me, let me make myself to be more of a problem. I'm gonna stay
There
in your
you
face.
go. There
And
you go.
I'm not going anywhere. And so I ran for it. I'm qualified to run for it. Early on there, I will say I prefer dealing with social media, the podcast, things of that nature. I feel like y'all are less controlled than the other media.
Right.
I had, for instance, Dallas Morning News. They did this article between me and my primary opponent, claiming he had a better chance of winning and claiming he'd be a better judge. Now, here go the facts. He's never won. He had never won an election ever, right? And then he'd never been a judge ever. So what's your basis for saying he could even win an election when I've already won two in the third largest county in America, and I've already been a judge as a state judge and also worked as a military judge, but somehow this guy's supposed to be more qualified than me. It's just one of those things where too often I think in this country we see where people want to put you to the side and cast you to the side and mess with you and not push back. I'm just the wrong guy, and that's why I ran. And
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying researching the issues. I'm enjoying the conversations I'm having with voters throughout the state. I mean, we've been to Rio Grande Valley. We've been all throughout Central Texas. We're coming out to San Antonio. I'll be in San Antonio probably this weekend. Dallas, Fort Worth, love it everywhere. El Paso. We've been everywhere talking to voters, and they want change. They want to see difference, and they want to have. There's the appearance of impropriety, right?
Right.
We have 9 justices, all of which are from the Republican Party. Now, my
He froze on us.
only issue is
Okay.
judges from certain parties. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I have no issues with having judges from a certain party. My issue is that they're all from one party, so it's like it gives the appearance of impropriety. It gives the appearance of having an echo chamber as opposed to a body of thought and a body of opinion that might actually represent everyone in the state. This state is comprised of a ton of veterans, right? I'm a veteran. This state is comprised of the most African Americans in any other state live in Texas. I'm African American. You would think it would be okay to have a few different voices on that body of the Supreme Court, so we can have some decisions that actually relate to what's going on in the state, so everyone can be represented, as opposed to folks that we don't relate to and do not relate to us. Again, when these people when they run for election, they go to certain places, deal with certain people, and they're all connected. They're all connected, many of which are
Hmm.
appointed by the governor. And so, how can you maintain a judiciary that is free and clear of influence, free and clear of outside influence, when you're appointed by another branch? Like you're literally appointed by the governor. So if the governor doesn't
Yeah.
like something, it's not hard to guess how you guys are going to rule, and that seems to be the case every time they rule a certain way. It just appears that they keep ruling in concert with the governor, and I'm not sure if that gives Texans a feeling that they're actually being properly represented, or if it's becoming some type of monarchy, or some, does that make sense? What I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it's like you have a governor, he appoints his folks, and his folks rule the way he wants to rule. The judiciary is designed to be independent, free and clear of outside influence. You cannot argue that you're free and clear of outside influence when you're being appointed by the governor, and that's who kind of tells you what to do and how to think. That just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, you just said something. I've been saying it for years. What you just said, I said he thinks he's a little king here in Texas,
Oh yeah,
and,
yeah,
and he doesn't realize it. No, it doesn't work like that. Like for instance, you're in Harris County.
right.
When they jumped on it was the 4 black women who got elected down there. They want to
Oh, it's more than that.
yeah,
It's more than that.
they want to turn around and say, okay, we want to make sure you qualify. No, you don't.
Oh
The
yeah, yeah,
vote the
yeah,
voters
yeah,
voted them in. How dare you
yeah,
ask, are they still
yeah.
qualified?
And here's the thing, racism is telling. Suddenly we want to make sure people are qualified. When did the only time this whole thing about qualifications has popped up is when you've had an emergence of minorities getting into these positions. Uh, Fortunately or unfortunately, you can get a good education in Texas. You can go to law school in Texas, no matter if you're white, black, Hispanic, what have you, and you could become eligible to become a judge. That's how it was in the military. The military was a meritocracy. I'm more used to the military aspect of things where if you hit those elements, if you reach those criteria, then you satisfy what's required of you to take the position. That's how it was in the military. But for some reason, suddenly we have this concern when people start walking in the room that don't look like you, but you represent them. So why wouldn't you want them in the room
Yeah.
unless you don't represent them? Unless you don't care about what they think, unless you don't care to ensure that their rights and privileges are protected as well. And I think it's telling. I mean, to be honest, they're all telling on themselves. They're dropping a lot of breadcrumbs, so to speak.
which I don't know. This leads into the next question, the last question.
Mhm,
When you said that, as a judge,
mhm,
can you give us a take on Attorney Ken Paxton on suing
mhm,
Barrett County, Travis County for mailing out unsolicited voter registration applications?
mhm.
I don't get it. They are mailed out
Um,
anyway. So what is the problem?
so I believe again, these actions, this conduct is telling, and everything that someone does, you have to ask yourself why. And particularly when you're trying to prevent students, I think in Tarrant County, whatever, they're trying to prevent these students from voting. To me, I'm 46. A student at this point, a college student to me is still a child. I look at them like child, and it's like, why are we trying to negatively affect children at this point? No offense to those college students, but you're trying to make sure you keep their votes down. You don't want to hear their voices, and hearing their voices are going to come through their vote. And I do believe that they've become so detached from the folks they're trying to marginalize, and they know they become detached. But whose fault is that? As elected officials, if you're the governing body, you need to engage everyone you govern. Again, when I was a platoon leader, I couldn't just say, I'm only over this part of the platoon, or I'm only going to do this part. I had to take care of all my soldiers, no matter what their background was, white, black, Hispanic, no matter the gender, no matter whatever they identified as. They were in my platoon. They were my responsibility. Similarly, when you look at governance in the government, if you all would just take care of all your folks, you wouldn't have to worry about this stuff. But
Yeah.
again, it's telling. It's telling, and it's kind of like what you did, right? And so because you know what you did, you don't want to allow everyone to vote because they're probably not going to vote for you because you probably haven't done anything for them or connected with them in a way to where you can feel like you're going to be satisfied with their vote. And again, the vote is a choice under the Constitution. You get all these people that want to they want to stomp and talk about Constitution and patriotism until it's time to vote.
Right.
Which is very interesting. What I think back in the day, they're like, oh, we want smaller government, right? But now the government's trying to intrude on everything. It's
Mm.
it's
Yeah.
telling,
Yeah.
it's telling.
And they scared to death
Oh yeah.
of the blacks coming out and voting.
Mhm,
And they're
mhm.
really scared now because the youth is coming out and vote. The same youth that you told them to stay in your place, don't worry about,
Exactly.
was in
Exactly.
high school. And now they're out of
Exactly.
high school and college. Oh no, wait a minute. Those are the same ones we talked about 4 or 5 years ago, and now they're eligible to vote. So they're running
Mhm.
scared right now. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, and I think the problem is it goes back to again, a lot of these folks they talk about you know, I don't I have my own beliefs and growing up in my household, we had Christian beliefs. And if you treat people the right way, you don't have to worry about this kind of stuff.
Right.
Um Now if you fake like you treat people the right way, you're gonna have to worry about it. And again, it's all telling. Yeah, all conduct is very telling. And that's what I think we're getting right now.
Yeah. Well, Judge Jones, I appreciate you taking time out and getting on the show.
Oh, thank you for having
It's
me. Hmm.
very important to have you on your show and the things that you're saying. I'm hoping that you touched a lot of people by
Yeah.
out there saying being real, and I would say you are being real. You know what's going on, and you're the pulse of Texas, and we need you in there.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you for having me on your platform. It's always good to be on these platforms and have open, honest discussions. One of the things I always try to do is just be sincere. Not trying to, be what they call it, a road blindness or anything like that. I'm the
Yeah.
same DaSean Jones I was, last year, the day before. I'm trying to become smarter and better, but still trying to be humble and relate to the people and hear people out and see what they want and need, and make sure that I'm there to provide those needs whenever possible.
All right, let everybody know how they get a hold of you, how they
Oh
can
yeah, yeah.
donate, and
Mhm.
all that good stuff before we let you go.
Sure. So again, it's DaSean Jones. That's spelled DaSean. I'm your Democratic nominee for Texas Supreme Court. I'll be on the ballot not too far after. It'll go presidential. It'll go the senators. You'll see the railroad commissioner. Right after railroad commissioner, you'll see DaSean Jones. I'm actually to select me as your next Texas Supreme Court justice. To get in contact with me, I'm on all social platforms at DaSean for Texas, DaSeanForTexas. That's at DaSean for Texas. Drop me a line, DM, and all that good stuff. Somebody will respond eventually, and we'll get to you. If you want to make a donation, you can donate simply by texting my first name, DaSean, DaSean, to 801-801. Text DaSean to 801-801. It'll pop up in your phone. You can make a donation. We need those funds, obviously, to continue this movement forward. Early voting begins October 21st, ends on November 1st. The election day is November 5th. You have until October 7th to register to vote. October 7th is the last day to register to vote. Get out there. Make sure you're registered. I encourage people to vote early. That way you don't have to worry about all the issues on the 5th. Try to vote early if you can. But October 21st, that's when everything gets started. So get out there and vote. Encourage your family to vote. And do like some people have suggested to me, if the people around you don't vote, stop hanging around. They don't, everyone around needs to have a voter card. We have to create standards in our lives. And I think one of them standards right now in 2024, making sure you're hanging around a bunch of voters.
Amen to that. All right, sir. We appreciate you being on. Anything? Matter of fact, I want to talk to you after the election to congratulate you.
Oh yeah. We'll try to have you there live. Maybe we can do something like that. That'd be cool.
And if you are in San Antonio this weekend, if you have any time, I'm doing an event at a park. So hit me up if you're down here.
Sure. Is it the Pachanga Park deal?
No, this is another one that somebody's celebrating their daddy that was a council member here in Texas for years.
Yeah, I'll send you a text after this, and we'll connect.
Okay, I appreciate it. You take care.
Thank you. Have a good day. Take care.
Okay, bye. All right, everybody. That was Just Jones right here. We appreciate him coming on. I mean, I love honesty, and he brought it. He brought it today. That's all I can say. So, everybody, until tomorrow, this is Ronald Gordon with Texas in Color.
Recording stop.